Hi, everyone. I'm Michael Bruce, CMO at Agent Moves, and welcome to our Good to Great series. We're all about sharing amazing stories of top realtors and how they got there so we can help make more realtors great. Let's jump in today with our guest. Meet Merissa Houston. Hey, Marissa.
Hi, thanks for
So,
having me on your show.
oh, yeah, so nice to meet you. Marissa's from Indiana. I usually don't even talk about where the agents are from, but since my oldest and grandkids are in Indiana, I had a little bit of a pre-talk with her, and just lovely area that they're in, and it's fairly close to where Marissa is. So I like to introduce agents not about real estate, and some interesting things about Marissa. A mom of four, I find amazing. My wife wanted a fourth, and I got her the second dog instead, so that worked out well for me. And really, it's her kids, being around the kids, big bike riders, but they do a fall bike trip every year for a week. And I've done a little bit, never really like with the kids camping and all that, but tell us about getting away with four kids between 6 and 15 and this bike trip.
Well, my parents have started the tradition years ago, and we all meet at Hilton Head. So we drive to Hilton Head, let me clarify that. But we all bring our bikes and pretty much ride to the beach, ride to restaurants, ride shopping. It's like our main part of transportation around Hilton Head Island, around just golf courses and stuff. And we start the kids out. Let's see, the youngest have been doing it for a couple years. So when they're 4 or 5, they start riding their own bikes there. And it's just been a fun tradition we do every fall.
Oh, it's beautiful. I'm sure the kids love it. It has to be amazing for them, the freedom just to be on the bikes around an area like that.
Yeah, yeah. I just got back, so it's fresh.
That's great. That's absolutely fantastic. So, um, all right, tell us about how you got involved in real estate. Tell us the story. What drove you?
Okay. Well, I was an interior designer for about 10 years and I loved houses. I loved the design aspect of all of it. My husband and I started flipping houses. He was a contractor and a inspector for a little while. So I got my license for that reason, and a friend of mine kind of pushed me towards Keller Williams, and she was actually in the design firm I was in. So I got my license and that got really busy, and I've been there ever since. It's been about 10 years. It's been amazing. And yeah, I've just loved the journey, loved all the people that I've been able to meet and help them get into their perfect place.
So tell us about tell us about that first year. You joined Keller, right? Because you have
Mhm.
this interior design. Did you keep that business going while you had while you were like,
Some little things, but the firm that I was working at, the doors shut pretty soon after I got my license. And so I felt like, well, I'm just going to hit real estate hard for a while, and ended up loving it. So instead of it being just for flips, it ended up my number one, I guess. So yeah, that's really where I went. I tried a couple teams. I started out on a team that trained me for a while, and they did a lot of like REO homes. So I kind of got a feel of some of the smaller but more complicated housing
Mhm.
transactions, short sales, all that good stuff. And then I wanted something different, and I ventured out with the girl who started with me or got me into it, and we started our own team. But it didn't last real long because her husband decided to go to med school and they moved away.
Wow.
So I was kind of like, now what am I going to do? And I found this team called the Hoagland Group, and it was a couple that had been doing it for like 20 years. Their focus was on helping families make great moves. And so I joined them, and I've been with them ever since and loved it.
Wow, wow, fantastic. Wow. So tell us about now, your experience in, so what were you doing? How did you, start to make connections and build? I know you're doing, significant. I think you said you did like over 30 units last year. You're up there in the real estate world. Tell us how that started. How did you start to get your listings? Or were you working buyer side first, seller?
I definitely started mostly with buyers because most teams want to train you with buyers and get your feet wet first to make sure that you can handle a seller, because it's a little bit harder. Usually they're interviewing more than one person, that kind of stuff. Make sure you know your stuff. So I definitely started with buyers, and I'd say the first year or two was definitely a little slower, but I felt like once word got out on what I was doing with my sphere of influence, then it grew. And I would say that second or third year is when the phone started ringing off the hook, where all my family and friends knew what I was doing and wanted to use me. And the team helped me get started for sure. So that was awesome to have a team to kind of feed you leads at the very beginning. But once things took off, it really took off. So yeah, Yeah, so that's been exciting.
So tell me about how you communicate now, a little bit about what you have ongoing, right? Is it heavy social media? Or is it local events? I'm sure maybe a combination of, but tell us a little bit about what you're doing and what's really working for you.
Awesome. So yeah, so a little bit of both. We definitely do social media. We use Social Bay, which is a newer thing to our area that Keller provides for us. But we also have an in-person assistant that does a lot of marketing for us and a virtual assistant that does a lot of marketing for us. But we go really heavy on our events. So our team likes to focus on our past clients and our referrals and keeping our database happy. I would say 90 some percent of our transactions are from word of mouth, past clients and referrals referring us back.
Beautiful.
So we like to keep it that way. So we do a lot of events. We've done some summer concerts where we'd invite all of our past clients to come have a glass of wine with us, listen to this free concert, set up a tent with some appetizers. That's been a big one. And we have technically a couple different locations, so we've put that in different places. And then we also have a really big pie event that we do in the fall. So that's coming up here in November, and we call it our Past Client Appreciation Event, Thanksgiving Pies. And they come out and eat some appetizers again and take a pie home of their choice that they're RSVP'd for to take to use for their Thanksgiving dinner and stuff like that with their family. So we really enjoy that. And it always seems to bring about business too, even though that's not really what it's about. It's really just about connecting with our clientele in our database and letting them know that they're important to us.
Right. Excellent. Excellent. Love it. So great, as you said, first that you were in the community, right? A lot of agents, the different stories, right? Maybe grew up somewhere and then, moved, got married. They're in a new area, very, very different, right? You had a, you know, basic sphere, even family and friends, locally to kind of build on. But as this started happening for you and you started building the teams, tell us a little bit about from the team building side what worked and maybe like something you'd never do again.
Well, I think this, just like with our clients, it's the same with a team. This is a relationship building business. And I think number one, you need to make sure your agents and your people feel important. So whether that's the little details that we call a luxury experience in a transaction, or just the little things, checking on them when they know something's going on with their family, or that, hey, this is their date day with their husband, so let's not bother them that day. Just things like that, just making sure that they're top of mind and they feel important at all times. I think that's really, really important. Something that I've learned, I guess, over the years is just to slow down, and it kind of goes with that, because you can definitely get to a place where you're so busy that you're getting on to the next appointment and you might not give someone the quality time or answer that they deserve, and you really need to slow down and make them feel appreciated and important, because the last thing you want to do is rush to your next appointment and then realize you ignored your buyer's agent's question or you answered it too frivolously that they feel small.
Interesting. Yeah, I like that. I think, the recommendation of slowing down, it's like, being able to say no. Is also, these are the very hard things that just as humans we have, especially when you're in a business like you are, where you care about people. You tend to always want to say yes and try and help. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about like the building of a team. You've joined teams, but then you were also building a team. And were there any issues in you maintaining your own production, right, and income from that while you were building the team?
Yes. So I took over this team a year ago. I mentioned earlier that Steve and Tonda had started this team and they had been in the industry for like 20 years, and that attracted me to them. And they had a lot of great resources that won in listing appointments. And I found that to be true. So we obviously got used to using that for years. But about a year and a half ago, they let me know they were ready to retire and they wanted me to take over the team. So it's been a little over a year now. In July, I had taken over, and at that time, we had a couple part-time agents. So it was really up to me to not only get everything settled and know how I was going to market going forward, but grow the team. So we grew it by a buyer's agent. Her name is Amber Fairbanks, and she's done great. It's her first year and a half of real estate, and she's already at 2.9 million.
Wow.
So that's awesome, I think. And then we also grew it by an events marketing coordinator, and she does a little part-time real estate as well, but we were kind of training both of them. We hired a virtual assistant to help us on the back end. So to answer your question, I think for growth, you really have to know when to leverage. And Keller Williams teaches us a lot on how to leverage. And I was nervous about that being a new rainmaker, but I think we got to a really good place. We're taking that leap of faith in a couple places is what I needed to do to help us grow.
Very good. Yeah, I think like you were saying that you came to take over a team because I do hear the stories, right, of agents wanting to build teams, right? They're excited. What's next? Build my team and I could be making, a little bit off of each of the other, and I have this team. And then they get into it and now it takes them a year or 2 years to build a team and they start not doing as much production because they're so busy building the team that you
Mm-hmm.
came into a team. I could see it as being a little bit of a different dynamic and process.
Yeah, it was probably a couple months of getting a little bit settled and getting the foundation work laid, but then we were ready to hit the ground running and we had the leverage in place to keep adding lead sources and grow our business.
So tell us about the 90% like referral. It's you got the events going a couple of times a year. You have some social going, right? What is the outreach like, or is it completely like waiting for you're getting people calling you just because things have been more recent?
Yeah, so those events have a lot of touches go out, whether they're postcards, emails, flyers. We do a monthly newsletter, lots of social posts, phone calls. We keep up really closely with just calling our people, wishing them happy birthday. We send out lottery tickets on their birthday and a personal handwritten card versus something more automated. So, yeah, we do our calls, our texts. We reach out to our database regularly. We do what we call the DTD2. I don't know if you've heard of it, but they'll email us exactly which letters of the alphabet in our database to call that week. So it helps us stay accountable and keep up on all of it where it's not a huge like, oh, I have 500 people to call today, but just a smaller list. So then they feel like they're always top of mind, and then hopefully we're always top of mind, and that has worked really well with us. I would say we probably do between 40 and 50 touches a year to each person in some way, shape, or form.
Beautiful. That's exactly what I was looking for. Like I knew there was more to it than what's going on here, right? Because you don't become this successful, have a team running without systems and processes in place.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like I said, I know agents that they don't want to pick up the phone, so they've come up with other strategies to deal with that. But that's what I wanted to hear from you is exactly how you're doing it. And fascinating with the 40 touches a year. Beautiful, right? It's in a couple of months. That's what it takes. Multi-channel, like you're saying, events, calls, email, social. So any other things that you're seeing like in your market, that might be, different right now? And I'm sure with interest rates dropping right now, you guys are getting ready for, we hope, the doors to really start opening up right now.
Absolutely. I think our market has stayed pretty steady. I mean, you definitely see the agents that kind of stuck their head in the sand when things weren't 2021 anymore. But the key really is just pricing it right and educating your clients up front. But we have several strategies where we generally will list it on a Thursday or Friday and kind of have this process leading up to it. And most often our listings are still selling that first weekend. Our average days on market's about 9 days.
Wow.
So we've been pretty happy. And sometimes you hear again, like, oh, the market's changed. But I think you just kind of have to shift with it and come up with new strategies that still keep those days on market low and make sure that you're doing the best for your clients in each situation.
No, I think that's great. Give us an idea of a different strategy that you took as like interest rates were high.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, your market interestingly has stayed solid even through all of this. It's crazy on days on market. That is incredibly low. I've looked at a lot of markets. It's awesome. So what are some of the changes that you made, like nuance, as interest rates went high and you
Mm-hmm.
had buyers and sellers kind of a little bit leery?
Well, we definitely have we have a big platform, I guess, since we're one of the larger brokerages where we can share things out as coming soon. So I always start there and let people in my network know of what's coming. And there's enough of us that a lot of times, we have several hand raises of, hey, I have someone looking in that neighborhood. So we can kind of share all of that kind of stuff ahead of time through Keller Williams. And I love that about our company. But then apart from that, we also have what we called a delayed start or a launch strategy. And so we do lots of coming soon posts prior to it going live again. We take photos in the middle of the week and put it live. And this is the only reason our days on market is even that high, because it's going to be on the MLS for a couple of days but we don't let people in until Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And our thoughts are that builds the anticipation. It makes them excited to go see it. And surely, no matter what their work schedule is, they can get a time between those 3 days to go look at the house. It kind of sets the expectation up front too, because we put in the notes that we're going to let showings happen those 3 days, and we don't want any offers until Sunday night at 7 p.m. or something like that, depending on the seller's schedule. Often we end with an open house, and then we review offers and say that we'll respond by Monday night at 7 p.m. And it really works out really great. Now, occasionally you'll have an agent say, hey, can I submit something Friday morning? And you accept it because we're going to go high. But we generally just encourage our sellers up front to stick with their guns on that. And it really drives the market hot. Like, people are excited. They all come out. They fight over the property. Obviously, we've priced it really well to begin with. And it does often get us multiple offers and raise that price up even higher.
Love it. Love it. All right, we're going to end it that. Awesome. This is the kind of stuff we're looking for someone to be able to take, 10 years of experience. You've tried a lot of different things and just interesting in a market where, things are really good, right? Lots of other markets, I may have spoken with agents where, there's more of a struggle, but this is great. And I think a lot of markets are going to be very active now in these, next couple of months. So fingers crossed for everyone. So
Thank
please
you.
follow Merissa. Give us your social so that we can follow you.
Okay, awesome. Yes, please follow the HoaglandGroup.com. That is our team website. And then I also own the Keller Williams Greenfield office. We are one of 17 locations out of Indy Metro South in the Indy area. And you can follow us on Facebook there as well.
Beautiful. Follow Merissa. Please follow Agent Moves as well on our YouTube channel. Subscribe. And until next time, really appreciated the time, Merissa. Thanks for all the tips.
Thank you so much.